There are many YouTube videos covering games that are dead. That is, games with 0 players currently playing them. But what about games that were never truly alive? Games that couldn't even manage getting a friend to try them out with an absolute peak player base of 0. And so, by heading over to Steam charts, flipping all the way back to page 400 to the 0 concurrent player games, then meticulously filtering through them one at a time, I found what I was looking for. And so I became the first person to ever explore these virtual worlds. The first game I found that met my criteria was a demo of a game called Aetherdale. Set to release fully in 2027, yet the demo of the game has been available for almost a full year, with no one to playtest it. So I did just that, jumping into this self-proclaimed action RPG roguelite. Starting with a minimalistic start screen, version 0.2.1, we are dropped into the 3D body of a little robed wanderer. With no instruction, I find my way over to the only landmark, an inconspicuous textureless rectangle. Now, I'm not heartless enough to dunk on some solo dev's project that's still 2 years from release. Luckily, the dev seemed more focused on, gameplay, rather than worthless vanity textures. The main gimmick of Aetherdale is that each run, you choose an idol, basically a transformation state granting you unique abilities. You also get a starting weapon, and a unique cooldown-based trinket. So I go plant-based with the Overgrowth idol and start my first run. If you're familiar with the roguelike genre, this game has a very clear inspiration. Barren, desolate, foggy environments, chests strewn about the map, and a goal to locate and defend a portal by standing inside its blue bubble. All it's missing really is a psychedelic guitar backing track, and they'd be liable for a lawsuit from Risk of Rain. So what's new then? Well, every new stage you get to choose from one of 3 traits, like additional jumps, and yes, you do get to go crazy with it. But of course, the big draw is the idol transformation. My new vine hands give me massive reach on my attacks. I'm not 100% sure what's happening with my first 2 abilities, but I do get to spawn 2 tendrils to attack my enemies. Now when transformed, you have a meter instead of a health bar, which regenerates when you're in your normal form. But it's also way too easy to maintain as long as you're killing the millions of respawning enemies. In fact, I think balancing is the game's biggest problem, since by the time I've collected 10 different powerful NFTs on my screen, my enemies have not gained a single extra hit point. Luckily, to break up the cycle of fending off waves of ever weakening enemies, every 5th wave is a shopkeep with a randomized inventory where you can easily stack up those buffs, and after every shopkeep is a boss. Like any good boss fight, you have access to a quick dodge, and like every bad boss fight, he doesn't seem to actually be doing anything. At least, kind of. Wait, what is that? Is this part of the boss? Ah! Turns out he does do something, he just missed by a few miles. Since I am the official playtester, I try and cheese the game, only to find myself 1 jump short. Which is how I find out that my second ability actually lets me slingshot myself if I hold it down. It has a few kinks to work out, but it's the perfect way to pass the time waiting for the portal to open. Most of the time. Or if you're so inclined to clear every single wave, you can also find consumables. Wave 11 brings us a new boss, the Roguelike Guardian, who, to my surprise, actually uses his attacks properly. Unfortunately, as the next boss wave rolls around, we get a rerun of Roguelike Guardian, and yep, a quick check shows there's only 2 bosses in the game currently. So I reset to find a wizard offering a quest to find his missing spellbook, and I run it back, this time as a wraith myself. Okay, it's called Shade, but come on. The main draw here is the ability to turn invisible, which completely bricks the enemy AI. And of course, it works on the bosses as well. Having explored my fair share of everything in the game, I decided to snoop around and found the dev's Blue Sky account, where you can see recent developments like this Coolio crossbow weapon showcased just 2 months ago. So for Aetherdale's first verified playtest review, idols are great, the foundations are great, enemies need improvement. Literally. Next up is a game much further in development, though there's no expected release date. You'll quickly see what I mean. The Blue Shutter demo has been available for around half a year, and of course, Steam Charts shows a big 0. Though there is one review with 0.8 hours of playtime. I'm not gonna have to scrap this video, am I? Nonsense, Steam Charts is the only valid authority here, so let's launch it. Now, Blue Shutter is a narrative-driven game, so naturally it starts with you playing a fake mobile game. Unfortunately, as the story begins with a text from our friend, I'm a bit too prideful to let my score streak die out. The story here is pretty interesting, with dialogue options to boot. Our friend Cooper is our resident conspiracy theorist and ropes us into collecting fireflies, which he believes, like birds, are part of a massive surveillance state. So after agreeing to meet, we are dropped into the world. We can talk to NPCs like this fisherman who hints at a fishing minigame, which, of course, I love a good fishing minigame. The menu, while immersive and stylish, it takes an uncomfortable amount of time to pull up. And the game looks so good, I'm willing to forgive its 0x0 resolution. But upon meeting with Cooper and his brother, we begin our task of collecting fireflies. Now, this minigame is a bit messed up. Partly because the terrain is a death trap, and partly because I'm too much of a goody two-shoes and I try too hard to play fair. Of course, the game again tries to interject its plot with this light speeding across my screen, but I'm a bit too locked in right now. See, my mistake was actually trying to jump up and precisely grab the fireflies. Turns out the winning strategy is to use my raw aura to grab any and all bugs within a 5-meter radius. Which, after demolishing the competition, leads us back to that bright light, which vanishes before our very eyes. But do you know what else vanishes? Children who run into the forest at night. In this case, our friend Cooper. Clearly this game takes place before the 2000s, because no one really seems to care, and his brother drives off all cool, and we decide to head home ourselves. But not before finding Cooper's camera with, egads, a picture of the same light. But it's clearly not urgent, so we decide to return home. Try and get the dog to sit. I don't think they animated it. And help our sister pick up some bugs for her pet iguana. And head off to bed for the night. However, in our sleep, we are visited by another light, who reveals himself to be, I'll try to keep this simple, our guardian counterpart Go from the so-called parallel blue dimension, enlisting us to help stop another rogue blue dimension guardian, Selm, who is trying to sever the connection between worlds. Oh, and that rogue guardian happens to also be Cooper's guardian, who's manipulating him to do his bidding. Got all that? Oh, and in the morning, the sun doesn't rise. What's worse is that due to the sun not rising, the fishing store isn't open, even though the fisherman continues to tease me by telling me that I can buy a rod to join him. After rummaging through Cooper's room, we discover a bit of code, allowing us to modify the camera to capture malevolent blue spirits roaming the world. So behold, combat. In the spirit of camera combat, you have to load a new frame with R before snapping it with Q. And we can adjust the shutter speed to change our attacks. So we head back out into the remote forest to look for clues. I won't lie, the combat is a little bit janky. The AI is very finicky. I'm not entirely sure what happened here. And the damage is wildly inconsistent, sometimes dealing half my health, other times virtually nothing. But hey, at least they didn't lie about the unique combat mechanics on their store page. Our journey through the forest ends with meeting a clown who eerily suggests that we run as fast as we can. It's a bit confusing since the knocking continues even after we leave. I even returned back to see if I missed a cue or something, but no, I just had to run far enough away. Here we meet a massive frog monster who is clearly looking to square up. So behold, the first boss fight. Never mind, it's the end of the demo. So, Blue Shutter. Incredible visual design, very unique plot, far too much fish teasing. And I didn't even get to do it! Now, it should be noted when looking for games, very few games meet my criteria of A, not a single player shown on the Steam charts, and B, doesn't look like a complete asset flip that may or may not harvest my data, which upon researching titles for this video, has apparently happened before. Which is why I deserve a like for my investigative efforts. Either way, on to our next entry, Oma. Another game in development, this one sells itself as an apocalyptic Souls-like RPG, with a focus on the strange and mysterious. And mysterious it is, because right from the main menu, I can't even read the font. I mean, seriously, you cannot tell me what this back button is supposed to say. Enter the world, and like any good Souls-like, don't expect a welcoming tutorial section, welcome to hell. So I spend a few minutes pressing random buttons until I run into another living soul. So behold, combat. It's honestly not that bad. Blocking, dodging, even hit stuns and super armor. We'll chalk it up to what is the most sensible part of what will soon become a very surreal game. After wandering about this oppressively foggy desert, I encounter multiple NPCs who speak a language I can't understand. Opening the settings somehow auto-switches me to 4K resolution, so I spend the next 2 minutes trying to fix it. So if I move this here... Now I can... There we go. Then I encounter painful gray sand that's meant to keep you herded into this specific area. And I'm not gonna lie, I have nearly 10 minutes of footage wandering aimlessly in this wasteland. It's only after purposefully perishing and resetting, and then wandering for a little bit more, that I encounter a mysterious hut that transports me to a new area where I can finally talk to NPCs. Like any forlorn sitting person in a Dark Souls game, their advice is more or less give up and let the shoal overtake us all. But finding a weapon outside gives me hope for a better future, and the much improved scenery makes progressing much easier. This NPC gives us a side quest to collect 4 Doma. This elevator literally never stops, and most of the rather distinctive architecture leads to absolutely nowhere. Dude, it just won't stop. Instead, I try to wander outside and find my way into a very clearly scripted fight room. Funny enough, I fall right into the dev's clever trap. With these 2 soldiers standing guard, I expose myself to the hidden bowman hiding behind a pillar, which of course is foiled by the most inaccurate archery I've ever seen. The melee fighters do put up an honest attempt, but fall just as easily. But then, I fall into the dev's most devious trap yet. After spending my hard-earned level up points on stamina, and getting excited for the possibility of using magic later on, I forge ahead through the now opened gate, and fall into the abyss. But somehow, it gets worse, as reloading my save right before the big fight reveals that all my gear is now missing. So rather than slowly beat all 4 of them to death, I explore a completely different path, managing to find a pretty well hidden pathway to some sort of altar. Inside is a massive NPC, who unfortunately doesn't seem to do much right now, and an item that is functionally unobtainable. So plan C is to explore the floors below. The yellow water down here is dangerous, and even though there seems to be very little down here, it's clear the devs spent a lot of time terraforming and placing very strange objects throughout. But what the devs forgot was placing actual walkable land. So, Oma. Extremely ambitious indie project, definitely nailed the surreal atmosphere, but not exactly in a playable state just yet. Lastly, shout out to all the devs. I hope my dumb little internet video gives you the inspiration to get back in the kitchen and get back to work. If you share my vision, be sure to like and subscribe or support on Patreon.